Welcome to the show. 12:39 Central Time, St. Louis, Missouri, United States of America. It's the hamster worldwide. And I'm bad. I'm worldwide on the internet webs. So last night we had a fantastic stream with Hammerhand and Undead Chronic. We talked about a lot of things. Hamster was on there as well. So look up Hammerhand's channel and check out the little roach roasting we had. It was pretty good. Pretty fun time. Went on for like 4 hours, man. It was a good time. Anyway, Happy New Year. First week of the year, first Monday of 2023. Aren't you excited? Aren't you excited? Schlitz Malt Liquor. Hey, I saw you last night in the, I think you were in Hammer stream. So I even think you did some super chats, sir. Thank you. I think Hammer's going to send me a free beer or something, courtesy of you. Probably a Schlitz Malt Liquor 6-pack. Maybe. We'll see. John G is here as Mr. Hemi 4-Speed. Hello. Easter Sunday, hello. Undead Chronic Sun, hey. Yeah, Happy New Year. First Monday of the year. You know, we're going to come up on a stream here. Maybe I should just do Randomercam's one. I don't know. I thought we'd start out with a little bit of light. James Young and Michelle Guevara is here. Andrew King is in the building. Andrew King, 9999999. But we got to be precise here. We got to be good. All right. I was going to start out with this. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm cooking delicious chicken soup right now. Smells good. Would you hire someone again? No, I can actually cook. I know. 58-year-old guy, you think eventually you'd learn how to cook some shit. Now, I ain't no chef, but I can make a pretty mean chicken soup. What's in the chicken soup, hamster? Well, there's chicken. And let's see, I got some carrots, onions, and I had some Brussels sprouts left over from Christmas. And, they last forever. So I threw those in there as well. I love me some Brussels sprouts, baby. And cabbage. Yummy. Halabala. Hello. How are you? Putting in another bathroom, the MGTOW. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad you could listen while you're putting the toilet in. Get out that wax ring and do everything correctly. My sister actually redid 2 of her bathrooms. Pretty impressive. I've never done that. I think I could, but I haven't. As of yet, and I don't think the apartment owners would like me putting in a new bathroom here. Pretty sure they'd get pissed about that. You never know, but I think probably not. Ray Pacheco, hello. Hey, that was a good stream. Glad you showed up and enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. It's always good talking to Hammer and Chronic. We're kind of buddies. We kind of done a lot of stuff together over the years. So, and I think Chronic started his channel just after I did, like 6-7 years ago or something like that. And I still have the original channel. I haven't quite been deleted by Susan yet, but hey, there's still time today. You never know. We might get there. Yep. Stray cat strut. I'm a ladies cat. Meow. So should we do this thing? It's a TedX talk about, well, you men, you suck. So listen to a gender studies professor.
I am a professor of women's studies, which means, among other things, I teach about feminism.
You teach about women's stuff, and you're going to tell men how to be a good man. Modern masculinity. This was a few years ago, so it's not fresh and new. But the link is in the description if you'd like to go watch this 15-minute pile of shit.
Feminism these days has been kind of hard to define.
Really? Really? Because it really depends on the individual person. My feminism means it. Well, as a person of color, disabled, part of the alphabet soup mafia. Here's my feminism. This is my truth. Gee, I wonder why it's hard to define when there's no real definition. Well, it's just women's rights. You're evil. It's because the women's are oppressed in the West. You know that. I mean, it's terrible for women here.
From folks like Beyonce to Sarah Palin,
to
Ivanka Trump. A lot of folks are using the label to identify themselves, which makes it difficult to know what it actually means.
Yeah, I bet you're going to tell us, though, because that'd be... what is this thing with Beyonce, by the way? You go to a lot of these, I've been going through some old school, stuff. A lot of these BuzzFeed, like 21 Reasons Why Men Suck, those kind of things. And it's like everybody loves Beyonce. Why? What was the big deal with Beyonce? I mean, she can sing and dance and everything, but I mean, what is she? The Queen, Slay Queen? Is that what we're talking about with Beyonce? I don't know.
I still really like Bell Hooks'
Oh
definition of
God!
feminism.
Oh God! Bell Hooks, people. Bell Hooks, spelled in lowercase because she's special.
Calls it a movement to end sexism, sexist exploitation, and oppression.
Okay. And the oppression of women in the West. All right. Got it. Yeah, got it.
I really like that definition because it does not suggest that one is automatically a feminist
Ooh.
just by virtue of being a woman.
That's true. Most women are not considered, they don't go out there with the fembots with their pink hats on. That much is true. About 90% of women in the United States don't consider themselves to be feminists. However, every female in this country benefits from the work that the fembots have put in over the years. And they're not about to turn that down for the most part. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, okay.
Nor does it prohibit men from being part of the feminist movement just because they are men.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't be a part of it even if I weren't a man. But yeah, that's okay. Are we getting a circle? Did we get whacked already? Oh no, Susan, what did I do?
Feminism is a movement by women and men working towards justice.
Justice, yes, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
It is a movement that asks really serious questions about what it means to live a just life, and how to better serve people and communities.
When she says better serve people, she means how can men better serve women? Let's just cut down to the brass tacks. We're talking about men better serving the womankind, right?
So, after 11 years teaching in the discipline, and
well, that's a stretch, but okay, 11 years teaching in women's studies,
fielding questions from young men about how to better support the feminist movement, and yes,
called it.
Yes, there are young men who take women's studies classes.
Yeah, they probably have to because of the indoctrination of the universities and colleges in this country. You got to take one of them courses. It's probably on your elective, right? Well, you could take something interesting, medieval archaeology, or I'm taking all these math courses. I'll sit through a women's studies course because it's like there's no tests. There's not even any freaking papers you got to write. You just got to sit there for 3 months. It's wonderful.
I've realized there's only one really good and possibly controversial answer to that question.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
And that is the best way for men to support feminism is to be good men.
Okay, well, I mean, she's not 100% wrong here. She kind of hits a couple things that make sense. Like, yeah, be a good man. But you only need to be good to support feminism.
Now,
yeah.
Before I get into too much trouble for making such an essentializing and man up style statement.
Excuse me, in the United States, Cecilia, you have a First Amendment right to free speech. Just because you're a woman does not mean you don't have that right. You're a citizen. You can say whatever you want. There's no issue with that, and no one has the right to come down on you. They might object. They might say, well, I don't really think your point's all that valid here, but you certainly have the right to say it. It's part of the Constitution, you know?
Let me explain what I mean by an orientation towards the good.
Okay.
Now, I'm actually talking about an old and ancient concept that's connected to virtuous action.
Old and ancient concept of virtuous action. Okay, dear.
The word virtue comes from the Latin word virtus, which means moral excellence.
Most words do come from Latin and Greek.
For Aristotle, who was indeed a man and not a feminist,
was he?
Virtue was considered to be the golden mean between excess and defect.
Okay.
So the mean between shamelessness and shyness is, of course, modesty. The mean between excessive flattery and backstabbing is genuine friendliness. So,
Mm.
virtue is what you get to when you combine compassion, courtesy, courage,
Mhm.
fidelity,
Mhm. Mm.
integrity,
Yeah.
and self control.
Okay, so how can we take that and make feminism better as a man?
Virtue requires a tremendous amount of sacrifice, and it's really, really hard for both
Mm-hmm.
women and men to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All that said, I want to acknowledge really quickly that the categories of man and woman don't work for everyone.
Uh-huh. You're gonna get all intersectional on my butt here. Intersectional, everybody. The alphabet soup police have arrived.
While it's true that some of the expectations and requirements that come with our gendered lives
Mm-hmm.
can be difficult, it's
Oh.
also true that we still have men and we still have women. So while feminism has made it possible to push back against some of those expectations,
You're gonna tell us how men should fulfill whatever expectations women want. Am I in the ballpark, Cecilia?
I'm still going to talk about these sort of categories of identity.
Mm-hmm.
So, part of why I wanted to give this talk is because I had noticed that there were a lot of young men who were looking for some kind of inspiration
Yeah. Yeah.
in a climate where there aren't a lot of good examples of virtuous masculinity. So,
Especially among single mother households. Shh. That's also men's fault. Everything is.
certainly in the mass media, but amongst our celebrities and even our politicians,
How about dad not being allowed to see his children? Hmm? No, no, that isn't it. They're because all men are evil and baby daddies and Tyrone and all. Okay.
the kinds of examples that we see can best be described as a kind of weakness or what feminists would call toxic masculinity.
Of course it is. This is from 5 years ago. You'll understand when we get to Randomercam. Nothing has changed. It just keeps getting worse. Go on.
The kind that tends towards violence or abuse.
Of course, because most men are out there being violent and abusing people. Of course we are. Of course. Okay, celery stalk. Go on.
These poor examples even sometimes come from traditionalists who
Ooh.
have really high expectations of women to stay at home, to
Mm-hmm.
take care of the kids, to even look the other way if they have an extramarital affair.
Mm.
And what I realize is this
Excuse me. Are there any expectations put upon men in that same circumstance? Anything? No, they can just go off and have affairs and do all kinds of shit and beat their wives up, crap like that, right? Right? Of course. It's toxic, isn't it?
expectation is not for women to be uh, good women in the virtuous sense, but for women to be obedient.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Now, the other reason why I wanted to do this talk, this is actually the main reason why I want to do it, is because I've been watching the development for the last few years of
Uh-huh.
what are called men's rights groups.
Oh no, the evil Nazis are coming to get you.
These groups exist around the world, but
Mm-hmm.
they gained momentum in the 1970s in the United States.
Did
And
they? Who was that? Oh, Warren Farrell. Oh, what an evil, toxic man.
and they were consisting of mostly white men who were rallying around
Of course it was. Of course it was.
themes of victimization. And one of their favorite targets to blame was feminism.
Ah.
Feminism, they said, empowered women so much so that men are no longer feeling needed or respected.
Well, can't argue with that.
They said men were now feeling disposable.
We've always been disposable. Many men are just starting to realize how disposable men have always been. Perhaps that's what you mean, dear.
Some of these men's rights groups wrote best selling books talking about the myth of male power. Some feminists got on board.
Paul, was that? Yeah, that was Warren Farrell, Myth and Male Power. Right.
Talking about the war against boys
Mm-hmm.
or
Christina Hoff Sommers, I believe.
reverse sexism, claiming that men had now become the second sex.
Uh-huh.
Their general claim is that not just men, but specifically white Christian men, are the most discriminated against group.
Straight men, too. You got to have straight in there, baby. White, Christian, straight men. You forgot the straight part.
To give some examples, there have been a wave of Title IX lawsuits sweeping across the nation.
All right, this is a stupid example, but I'll let it play.
And they have targeted individual women and then also groups for women.
Mm-hmm. Target. Notice the phrasing. Targeted. See, you can say that a bunch of different ways, but no targeting.
So one of the more interesting examples that I saw was a lawsuit that was filed in California against the Oakland A's baseball organization. So the organization on Mother's Day held a promotional event where they handed out hats to the first 7,500 women in attendance.
Okay.
And this man claimed it was discrimination because he didn't get a hat.
Well, it was a special Mother's Day deal. Okay. Would it make any difference to you if it was any other day? If it was Father's Day and just women got free hats? No, that's okay. Yeah, okay.
But he did get $500,000 in a lawsuit.
$500,000 stacks of cheddar. Oh, baby. Now, I consider that kind of thing to be frivolous, but I get the point. It's just like some men will sue bars for having happy hours for women and not for men, for example. But of course, well, if you don't have chicks in a bar, you got one of those bars where men sit there all day, smoke cigarettes, and drink cheap beer. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Now, this is kind of silly, maybe even ridiculous, but it's also a little bit alarming.
Is it?
Take, for example, the online harassment of Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian in what came to famously be known as Gamergate.
You know, I understand that Zoe and Anita got some shit on the internet. Now, I'm not saying it was right, but I understand they got that. But I believe a woman named Brianna Wu actually had people stalking her and trying to kill her family. A little bit closer to being violent than words on a screen. Again, not excusing, just saying that Brianna Wu actually was threatened, literally threatened, police called, all that stuff.
These women dared to challenge the sexism in the gaming industry.
Why wouldn't you bring that up? Why wouldn't you bring it up that this woman, her family was targeted, literally targeted for deletion by people? Why didn't you bring that up? That seems to be a more solid example. No?
And they received thousands upon thousands of rape and death threats.
That's horrible.
On a more extreme example, back in 2011 in Norway.
Okay, now we're going to get to the Nazis. Are you ready?
Anders Breivik killed 77 kids and adults, claiming in a manifesto that fathers had become disposable. He also said that the media was catering to a radical feminist agenda.
Okay, well, he may have said that in his manifesto. I didn't find it online, but you know what else this guy was? Fucking crazy. Crazy. Whatever he wrote in his manifesto, the guy was fucking two fries short of a Happy Meal. There's a timeline here of what he did. This guy was getting bomb equipment. He blew up a building. He did all kinds of really weird shit. He's crazy. Okay? Now, they didn't give him a particularly long sentence in Norway. He was sentenced to 21 years with an additional 5 years at a time if he's considered to be still a danger to the public. And guess what? He still is. He's also a neo-Nazi. But, you know, whatever. Sure, yeah, he hated women. Okay.
Historically, these groups have attracted even well-meaning people, offering them up a scapegoat to blame. In fact,
SCE is here.
some
Hello.
of the members of the men's rights groups even descended upon Charlottesville, Virginia.
Oh, here we go.
Where you may remember them shouting, "You will not replace us," and "Russia is our friend," the latter of which has become a symbol of white power and traditionalist values.
Why are you trying to tie the two together? A symbol of white power and traditionalist values.
place where battering your spouse just became decriminalized this past year.
A place where battering your spouse became decriminalized. In Russia? I didn't hear that.
Feminism for them is a threat in its pursuit of justice.
But it's always pretty much been legal to beat the shit out of your husband because he gets arrested no matter what, isn't it? Shh. Shh. Women are oppressed. Women are oppressed.
People. In fact, one might call James Fields, the man who murdered Heather Heyer, an anti-feminist.
Or you could call him a Nazi because he self-admitted that he is a Nazi. And he was also fucking insane. We could say that he was just a woman hater. We could say he was a neo-Nazi and he fucking hated everybody. We could say that if we wanted to. By the way, Mr. Fields, who killed that woman in Charlottesville, serving 2 deserved life sentences in prison. No parole. Bye-bye.
Certainly had a lot of grievances, and he wasn't alone. Lone wolves still come from packs. And one of those packs was a group called the Proud Boys,
okay,
who are a self-described fraternity against political correctness and in favor of Western culture.
Okay.
While they tried to distance themselves from the white supremacists and alt-right movements,
they're obviously Nazis and white supremacists. We know. Go ahead. Go.
There's some serious overlap in membership.
Of course
there are also a lot of oddities. If you're initiated into the group, you are supposed to stand there and recite 5 different breakfast cereals while being punched by other men.
Citation needed, dear.
It's a true story.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure it is.
The Proud Boys are all about venerating entrepreneurs.
You know what happens during like fraternities at colleges, right? They do stupid shit like that too. What's your point?
Which are, of course, men, and housewives, which are, of course...
See, no. We can't let this nugget go by.
They're all about venerating entrepreneurs, which are, of course, men, and
venerating entrepreneurs, who of course are men. Really, isn't that rather sexist of you there, celery stick? I think there are women that are entrepreneurs as well. There might be more men, but there certainly are women who play in that space. But that's okay. That's okay.
Housewives, which are, of course, women.
Housewives, yeah.
Another man, Jason Kessler, who is a Proud Boy, wanted to introduce his group to Charlottesville to bring solidarity and to unite the right. As a principal organizer of the rally, Kessler demonstrated the overlap of racial and chauvinist hatreds.
Mm-hmm. So he hates black people. He's a white supremacist, and he hates women, too. Okay. All right.
After Heather Heyer was murdered, he made clear his disturbing lack of empathy born of a warped sense of victimization when he said, and I quote,
okay,
Heather Heyer was a fat, disgusting communist. Communists have killed 94 million. Looks like it was payback time.
Yeah, well, I totally disagree with that statement. Nobody should be run over and killed. That's ridiculous. I don't care if she's a communist or whatever the hell. It's ridiculous. Very horrible statement. I disavow it. I think that has very little to do with, however, Warren Farrell, Paul Elam, and men's rights. But go ahead and try to keep tying them together, dear. Go ahead.
He later deleted the tweet. He claimed he'd been taking drugs and drinking and didn't remember sending it.
Well, perhaps, but still not good. Not good.
Now, men's rights groups are small, but they're growing.
Ooh.
Their messages about being disposable due to empowered women or people of color are attractive to some, but it is certainly not women or people of color or liberalism or feminism that made folks like Jason Kessler and James Fields or any of the Proud Boys disposable. Men become disposable when they don't take responsibility for their actions.
I see. So I'm certainly you're going to give us an example of how men, for the most part in the United States, this is what they do with their lives, right?
Men become disposable when they fail to act with integrity.
Fail to act with integrity. Toward whom? Would that be women? Would it?
Men become disposable when they play video games all day in their mom's basement.
Okay, so she's talking about the incel type, zit faced Cheetos eater, playing video games all day in mom's basement. Cecilia, who is empowering this behavior? Just think about it for a minute. Don't think too fast. Just what did you just say? He's playing video games in mom's basement. Well. I guess mom's doing the empowering, and mom, we assume, is a woman. See, mom could kick out the Cheeto eater and say, go do your own shit. Get off your ass and go get a job, blah, blah, blah. No. Nope. So I guess mom is needing a little bit of remedial education. Or it's just dad that's got the problem. Okay.
Or fail to help take care of their children.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yes. Fail to take care of their children. Right. What do you mean they don't pay child support? They don't show up and be a role model for their kids? What if a court ordered him to not have any contact with his child? Which happens an awful lot. Wonder. I wonder if she's including that in her calculus. Probably not.
I have friends who say, honestly, it's just easier when my husband is out of town. The kids and I, we have a schedule, and when he's home, things are disrupted.
Mm-hmm. It's so much easier when dad isn't around to be with his children. It's better when he's out of town because he's disruptive. I see.
This is a problem, and so far, feminism hasn't offered a good enough way out. And part of that might be because those traditional roles might not be available for men to step back into. And if
So if part of the solution here is for men to take over their traditional role, wouldn't that also include women taking over theirs? No. Just the men got to do something to make everything better for the women. Am I right?
if that's the case, we have to try to redefine masculinity before too many men get swept up by these anti-feminist movements.
Oh,
As a short-term solution, I think we have to stop saying boys will be boys.
nobody says that. Not in the sense that you mean. People will say boys will be boys when they challenge each other to eat earthworms or climb a tree or do stupid shit like that. Boys will be boys. They're doing that stupid crap. They're getting dirty, etc. Doesn't mean they're out raping women. Cecilia. Doesn't mean they're out in rape gangs attacking women. But of course, that's how you interpret it, right? Right?
Or making excuses for men and bad behavior, suggesting that they are hardwired to objectify women.
Well, we're hardwired to be, if you're straight, we're hardwired certainly to be attracted to women. Is that what you call objectification of women? We like to be around women and, that kind of thing. No. Objectify is a whole different. You do. Oh God, it's just.
In the absence of any expectation of virtuous action, many men and women have been making excuses.
Many men, people. Many men.
For men, claiming that vulgar speech is simply locker room talk or normal expressions of modern masculinity.
Well, if men are in a locker room with no women around and they talk nasty to each other, who cares? Who cares, Cecilia? You're not there. So what? They're talking smack. So who gives a shit? I mean, can there be one place where men can just be men? Of course, what she really means is all masculinity is toxic. She doesn't want to come out and say it, but that's what she means.
When I talk to young men, they know it's a problem, but they don't know how to separate toxic masculinity, which is easy, from virtuous masculinity, which is hard.
You know what adds to the problem, though, Cecilia? You just said a few moments ago that married women would rather have their husbands on trips out of town because her husband is disruptive when he's home. Do you think not seeing their father on the reg might affect how the children see things in life? I'm just wondering. Is it possible when you send your husband out traveling on the highway for 48 weeks of the year, you think maybe that has an impact on children? Maybe just a little bit. Oh, Oda. A little witty bit. That's okay, though, because he's disruptive. We don't need that here, do we?
Requires good judgment and responsibility. We need to hone our skills right now and sharpen our focus towards justice and heal our communities. It's just as Ta-Nehisi Coates says.
Oh. No. No. I think we've had enough of that one. So remember, gentlemen, if your wife doesn't want you around, it's still your fault for not raising your kids right. It's always your fault. As a man in the modern era, and it doesn't matter if you're toxic or not, doesn't make any difference. You still suck. Keep that in mind. Channel 1-800-DUMB is here. Lord Messiah Disciple Iridium Kush is in the building. Rex in a hi. Timothy Sokol, yeah. No, Tim, she's not lying. She's viewing the world through her feminist lens. Oh my God. All right. Let's see if we can find us a little bit of Dr. Randomercam. And I'm going to try to turn up the volume here a little bit. I could barely hear it, but let's see if I can do that. Maybe he'll be louder. Better mic work. Let's see. Go ahead.
Andy's sort of acid test. If that
That's better. Okay. Now, Dr. Randomercam, otherwise known as Mike, has a channel link below. He's been doing this stuff for a very long time. I mean, he was probably one of the first guys, him, Goodfella was another one. Aaron Clary was another one when the hamster first started getting interested in this YouTube. It's like, hey, what's going on over here? So Randomercam is very funny. He's very articulate. And sometimes he drinks a lot on camera. So this video is from, I believe it's 9 years ago, 2013. Now, Mike is an MRA, otherwise known as a Nazi, according to our last speaker, and a white supremacist. Then, all that good stuff. Boys will be boys, toxic masculinity, all that kind of shit, right? But of course, and he's to blame for everything because he's white and straight. And, yeah, it's just... Anyway, he's got this interesting little bit on legally obligated empowerment. This is, of course, not favorable to the fembots, you could say. Let's go through a little bit.
What happens, and you can have the whole conversation without it descending into name calling, then you're golden. You have an open-minded person to talk to who just happens to have been fed the usual feminist lies.
When exactly could you have a decent conversation with a fembot, Mike? You know better. You display it on your channel. You can't.
When you find someone who won't even let you get through the word misandry without oinking at you like a dickhead, that's when you know you're dealing with a jackbooted drone who would sooner relinquish their reasoning abilities than reconsider for one moment their perceived genetic superiority.
That's right. That is correct, sir. Now, Mike is also part of the Honey Badgers Radio, also a lot of fun. And he's active in men's rights groups and conferences and stuff for men. I believe he was I'm not sure if he was in Detroit at the one they had a few years ago, but he was up in Canada where they all got kicked out because, they're Nazis.
That's when you know you're dealing not just with an ideology that doesn't hold up to scrutiny, but a person who doesn't know how to use scrutiny for anyone's ends but their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's what Scientologists do. Try and talk to them about the well-documented crimes of their church. And before you can dot the I's, they're going, what about your crimes?
I didn't say that. Mike said that.
Impressive person. Only a child rapist would be an SP. Boo. It's the same test you can do with religious people of any kind. Question their ideology. See if they call you a moral atheist scum for doing so.
Right. There's no saving you unless you come to our deity. You're going to burn in hell otherwise.
That's when you can confidently conclude, religion or no religion, this one here is a twat.
Yes. Yes, a twat.
Or even creationists will eventually paint themselves into a corner and be left with nothing to say, but it's just my faith.
I love the way those English guys say twat. It's got muscle. It's like, you twat. I like it.
I believe it because I believe it, not because of evidence.
Yes.
But with feminism, you never get this submission or any compromise whatsoever. It's just an ever shrinking downward spiral into this maelstrom of vindictive bullshit.
Very well said, sir. Very well said.
And all this, even though patriarchy theory is just as unsubstantiated and every bit as blatantly sexist as our old friend God up there.
Patriarchy, yes. It's the demon of the feminists with absolutely no... kind of like a religion. Kind of like that.
Not every feminist is crazy. Just like not every religious believer is crazy.
True
but
enough.
Just talk to them.
Yeah.
Engage.
Yeah.
You'll find out which ones are crazy by how long it takes your jaw to drop at what a nasty piece of work is hiding just beneath the surface.
Yep. And if you can get to a second base discussion with a fembot, you might have somebody there you can kind of talk to. But if you can't even get off first base, forget about it. Just go on your merry way and have a day. It ain't going to make any difference.
And it's a terrific early warning system. I don't like calling it a test because it's really just a conversation. But it's a conversation that's in your best interest to have.
Okay.
Because if they fail to have this conversation like a civilized human being, there may be other things down the line that they fail to undergo like a civilized human being. Contrary to unpopular belief, women aren't crazy or flustery or irrational, in my tentative contention. However,
yes,
people who have been told for their whole lives that they can do no wrong are more likely to become crazy, flustery, irrational, and most importantly, self-entitled.
Not only can do no wrong, there shall be no consequences for the modern women. Now, remember, guys, this was 2013. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same shit. It just keeps getting worse every single day.
Parents usually do this to their children. Whether you're my little boy or you're my little girl, you're the most important person in the world and everything you do is awesome.
So cute.
Douchebag explosion. Yep. Parents do this with true gender blindness. But feminism also does this and only to women.
Yep.
And feminism has conned the state into helping it do this. Nowadays, as far as the state's concerned, if you're my little girl, you're weak and you need protection and special treatment and compromise. But if you're my little boy, you're a violent, uneducatable rapist.
Yes.
And you're vicariously responsible for all of society's ills. Everyone believes this, but don't worry, it's physically impossible for anyone to hate you for it.
Now, I think maybe at the time, I'm not sure, but you notice Randomercam didn't say anything about being white and straight. So maybe that wasn't such a big deal 9 years ago. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, misandry does exist. Its name is feminism. I think two of the most widespread problems we have in the West are sexism and paedophilia.
Yes.
By which I mean feminism and child worship. It's as though someone, somewhere, around the turn of the 20th century, realized the world is going to end, the ship is sinking, and sounded the final call of women and children first. Indeed. We'll have two massive wars, kill off half the men, then when they get back, we'll call them all rapists, and we'll... The 20th century was functionally an exercise in replacing every possible domestic responsibility with a machine, or a chemical machine.
Yep.
Thereby ensuring that every woman is given the choice of a life catered to entirely by these machines, or if she prefers, she can get a job. Those doors will be opened for her at her behest. Isn't
it nice to have options? No. Having options is oppression. You evil man, you white supremacist Nazi. I mean, think about it. All that stuff was invented by the evil patriarchy. The evil men invented all this shit so women didn't have to toil at the freaking creek beating the clothes to death. You know what I'm saying? Making the lives of women easier is the evil patriarchy. Well, not just women, men too. Hey, I got a machine over here. I throw my shit in, put some stuff in there, and hey, boom. It gets clean. I got a dishwasher over here. Clean up the dishes a little bit, throw it in there. Magic. Like 30 minutes later, it's done. The dishes are hot and fresh, baby. Oh, okay. Who? Oh, what? Frank is an MRA that mocks MGTOW. I'll just say that I'm not. You don't like Randomercam? Oh, okay. I don't think he does. He might mock MGTOW. I'm not sure. He's gone his own way most of his life, to be honest with you. I think he's hooked up with Lauren from the Honey Badgers now. Maybe they're going to get married and have a baby. I don't know. But as far as I know, at least in this time frame, Randomercam did not have anything to do with women. He eschewed them, keeping to himself. And he'll tell you that in his videos. It's like, why do I have all this? I play guitar. I write cartoons. I do animation. I do videos. I do all this stuff. I'm a comedian, all this stuff. Why do I have enough time to do that? Because I don't have to deal with a woman. But I think he's off the going your own way plantation now. He's got Lauren as a girlfriend, I think.
And who's building these domestic machines? Who's operating this conveyor belt of planned obsolescence?
I mean, you can imagine the patriarchal meeting, right? Everybody has a cigar and a glass of scotch. Dark paneled room with stuffed chairs, smoking jackets. I think we should invent machines because that'll oppress women more. Yeah. Damn it, that's a good idea. Oh, cheerio. Pour me another one, Charles.
Mainly third world people of all kinds, but chipping in for the West is mainly men.
Uh-huh.
With women helping with the admin if they feel like it.
Yeah, if they want to, sure.
I'm going to let you absorb the rather insensitive way in which I just told the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to throw any oppressive maths statistics or anything at you, but just look around the room you're in.
Let's get that spittle going, Mike. Come on. Get fired up. We got to see that spittle, baby.
Examine the objects you're looking at and try to picture the people who designed those objects.
Okay.
Who slaved away at the drawing board, measuring the perfect ergonomic angles.
Yes.
Picture the people who constructed those objects, hammered all those straight lines into place. I'm not saying none of them were women. I'm saying more than half of them were men. And if you can take that on board, the truth is it is almost entirely men. To say the least, when feminists claimed that women could do all this on their own without men, they're in a much less tenable position than would be a man who might claim the opposite, since the feminist making this claim is invariably sitting in an artificial cave designed and built by men with little or no help ever even offered from women.
Yes, you have to have everything done for the women's. Now, to be fair, I mean, they're like, for example, in China, I know for a fact that like the Apple factories over there, most of them are women that are actually working there, putting this stuff together. That much is true.
And it's not because men are forcing women not to help them build things. It's because men want to build things more than women want to build things.
We want to build things for the women. Yeah, I know. And the children, who knew? Why? It's a patriarchy. I'm sorry. It's evil. You know. Wait a minute. For hundreds of thousands of years, we made caves for women, made it nice, and the kids and buffaloes and shit we got and dragged it home. No. That's evil patriarchy. You're trying to oppress women by building her a cave. Of course. You got to look through things with a feminist lens, guys. You think I'm crazy, don't you?
Because men are wired that way.
Yeah, kind of.
And if you want to do some rewiring, it's certainly not helping that women are given every incentive to simply shit out a child and sit back and command the machines.
Oh.
Now is it?
Yeah, but what about that evil man who impregnated her? Yeah, she had nothing to do with that. That's there's no choice involved there. There was. Let's see. If it's not a criminal thing, it's she decides.
See, men can't get away with just simply sitting at home commanding the machines for their own amusement.
No.
Teenagers can, obviously, if they still have My Little Boy points, and tragic basement man babies can, if they still have My Little Boy points.
There you go.
But if they don't eventually start doing something for society, for the collective, they're considered worthless skivers. Now, the same can sometimes go for women, until they get pregnant.
Ooh.
The moment a woman gets pregnant, Nanny von Statestein descends from the skies, floats her above the bubble garden, gives her the wings of omnipotence, and reads her the feminist equivalent of the Miranda rights. The Wirumanda rights, perhaps.
Yes.
You have the right to this child. You have the right to the provisions of the father you specify. If you do not specify a father, provisions will be supplied for you, care of the taxpayer. You have the right to remain childless. Anything you do say may be used against the father in an accusation of rape, sparing you any further sense of responsibility. He'll be left at best dead to his community forever, and at worst imprisoned for decades and regularly raped. And what rights does Nanny read to the man in the event of a pregnancy?
The right to pay?
None. Yeah, he doesn't have any.
No, he's got that right.
Points a gun at his head and goes, give her what she wants.
That's right. He's got the right to take responsibility for that child, no matter if he doesn't want the government forcing him to be a father or not. But hey, the patriarchy, it's built just for men, to empower men over women, to keep those women oppressed. Keep them down in the kitchen, pregnant and barefoot. That's right.
Even if the lady in question stole your sperm from you.
Ooh.
Even if she slipped you a roofie and a Viagra and raped you in a coma, she still gets to keep the sperm and whatever happens to it.
And you still get to pay child support. Yay! Oh my God, it's so fair. Again, keep in mind, gentlemen, 9 years ago, 9 years ago, almost a decade, nothing has changed. It's only gotten worse.
And you can't be on the pill, remember?
That's right.
There isn't one for men.
Correcto.
Why is that?
That's a good question. Why is it that the American Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, didn't even cover vasectomies as part of the mandated federal law, but guaranteed 18, 20, 24 forms of birth control free of charge to women? Why is that? I'm curious.
It took them a couple of decades.
You think maybe there was a plan? Do you think there might be a plan afoot? You think maybe this is all thought about ahead of time? I'm just asking the question.
To create a female pill, and given how much simpler the male reproductive system is, we should have had a male pill by the 80s at the latest. But instead, we got generations of research into boner pills. Now, why would that be? Why, in a so-called man's world, is it only women who get a little white pill that prevents them getting raped into parenthood, while men only get more and more little blue pills that facilitate them getting raped into parenthood?
That's a really good question, Mike. Really, really good question. Why is that? Why did Obamacare exclude men from getting vasectomies covered under the plan? Because men for decades and millions of years oppressed the women, it's only payback. See, historically, women were. Yeah, well, they're not anymore. And they weren't in 2013. And they weren't in 2003. And they weren't in 1993. They weren't in 1983. There might have been some shit in 73, but hello, Roe versus Wade.
Can you imagine a world in which men could privately switch their fertility on and off, and all they gave women was a pill that made them wet?
Could you even imagine? Could you? Imagine if men had access to birth control. Women did not. Could you imagine the tsunami of pink pussy hats marching in Washington on the daily basis? Where's our pill? Where's our choice? Blah, 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 blah. And yet, what do men do? Nothing. Zero zip. Nada.
That would sound a lot the fuck to me like a patriarchy, and it's the opposite of what we have.
Yes, it is. You could say it's the anti-patriarchy or the matriarchy. or gynocentrism. We do everything for the women. Men are disposable and useless. We don't care about them. As long as they pay their taxes and their child support and their alimony and they work 40, 50, 60 hours a week to, keep paying for shit. As long as they do that, we'll let them stay. But, we really only care about women.
And still.
And why is that, Sir Hamster? Sir Von Hamster? Well, because politically, women are more easily persuaded than men. That's all I'm going to say about that.
To this day, it's legal to steal sperm. You can't steal water. You can't even steal air, really. You can't steal a single atom of carbon unless it's in one of the molecules that make up sperm. In fact, the only substance in the known universe that you can legally steal and keep happens to be the substance that contains a man's genetic code.
Now, you guys may not have been aware, but it was a few years ago where there was this article somewhere, maybe the Atlantic, I'm not sure, where the guys, these ritzy, really expensive, rich guys, whatever, the Hamptons or some shit, they were making sure their condoms weren't available afterwards. See, they were putting him somewhere where it couldn't be gotten to. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but they wanted to make sure that their little sperms didn't get places where they shouldn't be. Do you get my point? I think you do.
Oh, please. Don't tell me that I don't know what it's like to live in a society that makes you feel worthless.
Turkey baster. Yes, that's what I'm saying, guys. Yep. If you can land yourself a rich dude, think of those fat stacks coming in every month.
My biological identity is worth less than the air you breathe.
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, the inside of a vacuum chamber is probably worth more than my genetic identity. What I am is worth less than nothing.
He's got the spit coming up now. Yes. Spittle. Do it.
That's still too much. Only feminism can take the law of logical absolutes and then shatter it into infinite pieces and then keep doing it.
I wonder if it's just a giant bunch of projection. I really don't know anymore. I mean, it seems like the younger versions of women these days are just absolute brainwashed. I don't think there's any hope. But there's got to be someone somewhere that knows what they're saying is complete bullshit. They got to know. They got to know what they say is absolutely opposite of what reality is, if they can even conceive of such a thing called reality. The younger ones, 2021, I don't know what to do with those. I mean, Jesus Christ. The brainwashing is complete. I think we lost at least one or two generations completely of women. They're just, not all of them, obviously, but as SCE says, enough of them are just brain dead drones. They are just gone. There's nothing you can do. Yuri Bezmenov type stuff. Vladimir Lenin type stuff. It's crazy.
A=8. No.
And it's also part of the fucking plan. It has been for the last 100 or so years. It ain't an accident, guys.
A=B. A=. Patriarch.
Of course it is.
These, by the way, are just some examples of rights and privileges that men do not have because they are men.
That's right.
But which women do have because they are women.
Correcto. Where's that equality thing from? Oh, no. You see, feminism and the feminists define equality as something a little bit different than the dictionary definition. Equality is whatever they can get, even in excess of parity with men, they'll take, and it's not a problem. For past oppressions, for historical millions of years of oppression by the patriarchy. Yeah, parity is not their goal, people. Come on. You know that.
The right to abstain from parenthood, the right to private non-permanent contraception.
And if you don't believe me, if you really want to get into some dry reading material here on a Monday, go look up the World Economic Forum, comparisons of countries. you'll notice the United States comes in like right along the lines of the Congo with respect to how women are treated. If you can fucking believe, and I'm not lying. Now, you'll notice there's one thing if you look under education. Oh, you'll find it really interesting. Women are capped at 1. Okay? Does that make any sense? Say if a man is 0.9 and a woman is 1.8 with respect to education, they cap her at 1. Now, why do you suppose they do that? Why is that the only category in this report that's capped for women only? Oh, you'll see men, if they exceed women, it's 1.25 to 7 or whatever. But for women, it's capped at 1. Now, why do you think that is? Well, we certainly wouldn't want to show that women are far exceeding men in college education degrees in the United States. And thus, we want to put the United States on par with the Congo, where they have war and they've had civil war for decades. See, we're just as bad as the Congo. Now, how do you do that? You cap the education. See how that works? Yeah.
Right to steal the genetic identity of the opposite sex. I'll carry.
Yes, that's Klaus Hitler. World Economic Forum. That's the same guy.
On, shall I? The right to a gender-specific housing project. The right to a gender-specific shelter for victims of domestic abuse. The right to prosecute a female rapist.
Or even any shelter for domestic abuse. Only for women. Only for women.
The right to due course, anonymity, and presumption of innocence if accused of rape. The right to prosecute a false accuser of rape. Oh, wait, women don't have that one either.
Nope.
Spectacular. The right to custody of one's children, of course, even in the event of an adulterous or mentally ill spouse. The right to unmutilated genitals. That one really sticks out, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The right to be employed or enrolled in an institution in preference over an equal or more qualified candidate, purely on the grounds of your gender.
Correcto. Yes.
The right not to spend the night in a jail cell if the police catch you being assaulted by a woman. Not making it up. The right to harmlessly express oneself sexually anywhere in public, let's face it. The right to go within 5 feet of any child, let's face it. The right to half of everything you own. I mean, I could go on. And
Yes,
I'm
you
not
could.
saying women shouldn't have some of these rights. I'm saying men actually, presently, in this reality, don't have them.
Yep.
And it makes me laugh in your face when you talk about white male privilege.
What's interesting to me is that there seems to be this with some feminists is like, if you give men the same sort of rights with respect to reproduction and all that stuff, it's somehow taking something away from them. Interesting. They keep saying it's not a zero-sum game, right? Well, what are they worried about? You mean if men can have this in a domestic shelter and all this stuff, it's somehow going to take away from them? Okay.
I am yet to hear a single example of a right men have in the West that women don't have.
I would like to hear that too. I would like to know which right males in the United States, for example, or England, which right do men have under the law that women do not have? In other words, they're forbidden from doing something that men can do legally under the law. Which one would that be? Oh, that'd be a big zero because there aren't any. None.
A right, mind you, not a function, not a bone structure, not a roll of the mitotic dice, a legally sanctioned right. Because I don't know anyone who's ever thought of one. You've got to feel for Western women. Can you imagine being the most privileged group ever in history, yet you're still convinced you're one of the least?
It's quite amazing, isn't it? What kind of fucking mind magic do you have to be? Let's see. I saw a Thumper was in the bill. Yeah, Marxists believe if I have something because you took it. Okay, yeah. That's true. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Like I said, the indoctrination is deep in some of these people. Hey, Frost, what's up? Renovatio. Davos, aka World Economic Forum criteria for equality, says 50% male, 50% female, perfect equality. Eradicating, whoa. Okay, yeah. I don't think anybody's talking about eradicating men. Not in the sense of, say, Germany, where they had camps, etc., like that. But instead of an actual physical removal, it's a social removal of men. Now, we already talked about it. The woman, boys will be boys. The last one, all these men are out doing all this bad shit. Really? Really? Is that what's going on? Not really, no. I mean, we can look at the statistics and the numbers if you want to. Not all men are out doing bad things to women. Let's be honest here. That's bullshit. The statistics do not reflect the facts. I should say, feminist statistics do not reflect the actual fact of the matter. If you're really interested, go through the Clary Act report. Go see what the number of you-know-whats are reported on campuses around the country per year. Campuses have to report every crime that happens on their campus. Go look it up. It's available. It wasn't that many years ago. It was the Washington Post, who pretty much on a yearly basis put out the story about the Clary Act. Oh, look at all this stuff. All these women are being, And then some semi-smart editor who was aware of the narrative that was to be promulgated said, hey, wait a minute. These numbers are not supporting what we think we believe in as fembots and Marxists. So we can't really report on it. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? They haven't for years. I wonder why. Because the narrative, the actual numbers don't support their bullshit. So they just ignore it.
To have all the bitter resentment of the lower classes combined with the atrophied resolution of the upper classes. I mean, it must be a living hell.
Okay, we've gone on for an hour. I think that's probably enough. But yeah, there's Mike. The links are in the description. Again, World Economic Forum, the report they put out every year about how countries compare to each other with respect to gender equality, of course. And of course, equality is not defined as equality as you might define it yourself because of reasons. Clary Act report, Clery Act report. It's available on the interwebs if you want to look. Or as Tim Elgato says, I don't care. I certainly understand your point of view, Tim. Anyway, we might do something later. I don't know. I haven't decided. I got to eat before I do anything else. All right. Like, sub, do all that stuff if you feel like it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.